Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer has been out for about a week and a half now, and I'm seeing a lot of conflicting opinions online. Who would have thought? Some people love it, some people hate it, some people think it's mid. My initial videos discussing the game were pretty positive. I was enjoying my time in the game for the most part, but I definitely saw some early cracks in the vision that is Modern Warfare 2, and after about 70 hours in the multiplayer, I'm ready to dive in. Leave a like on the video, subscribe with the bell on. My name is BigfryTV. Let's get into the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. For starters, I think the gameplay itself is actually really good. The FPS controller on display here, top of the AAA chain. Animation work, especially when you're talking about reloads, the inspections, they're solid as hell. Weapon models I think look great, and I think the skins for the most part actually look really nice. The presentation here is great. Sound design, pretty mid-tier. I thought that they nailed the footstep audio in the short time that I spent in the beta, and during that time, Infinity Ward was like sucking their own nipples about how good the design was and how well you can track what's going on around you. It seems the complaints from a portion of the community made its way into Infinity Ward's head, because now footstep audio is so inconsistently bad that I feel like they let one of their toddlers just come into the mixing booth and fuck around with some sliders. You guys had it nailed in the beta, and I'm not sure what happened. Maps in this game are so mid, I really don't think you guys played on them for any amount of time. If you did, half of them wouldn't be there, and I'm not talking about the half you guys are already having to pull out and change at the risk of getting sued. I just don't get it. Border crossing. Why the fuck does this map exist? Early games I was having, it was a nice little change of pace. I was kind of getting the flow down, but once skill-based matchmaking kicked in, I felt like I was playing in a fucking minefield. Would it have hurt to have most of these vehicles already exploded so random Semtex throws from the Christy Mathewsons of the world didn't ruin your day every time you spawned? Who's Christy Mathewson? I don't know. Bleacher Report has him listed as the best pitcher of all time. I don't watch baseball. Tark is another hot topic in my community. Everyone I play with hates it, and I think for me, if the map isn't being played in a one-life capacity like Prisoner Rescue or Search and Destroy, it's god-awful. But playing that map in headquarters is like playing Battlefield 2042 at all. It's just not worth the headache. And that being said, I feel that way about almost all of the maps. Some are great for modes like Domination and Hardpoint, while terrible for games like S&D. It's not that they're bad per se, they're just pretty mid-tier. Gone are the days of classic maps like Crossfire or Crash, Backlot, Bog. These maps just aren't memorable at all. But I will say, I think Farm 18 is the closest Call of Duty map that we have. If you were to take that and stick it into COD 4, I think it would fit. I like it on almost every mode, and that's why I think it is the best map in the game right now. Let's talk about skill-based matchmaking. It's completely broken, and we all know it. I don't need to harp on it, but I will. It does not do what Infinity Ward and Activision say it does. I can play one good game where I may go a few kills above, get some objective caps, and I feel pretty good about myself. All of a sudden, I'm in the middle of a CDL championship game, G Fuel dust falling out of my nose, wearing a 2XL jersey, sweating my fucking ass off under the stage lights, and for the rest of the night, I'm there playing the most grimy matches ever, either winning or losing by a hair, or getting my ass reamed in by the other team. With the introduction of Ranked coming in 2023, I'm begging Infinity Ward to remove skill-based matchmaking from quick play, but I know they won't. They're more interested in protecting the casuals who want to feel like their gameplay is worth a fuck, even though they can barely play on the sticks. The best part of logging into COD 4 back in 2007 was never knowing what'll happen. You jump into a lobby, you do horrible, you change your loadout, next match you do okay, next match you do great, you might have a few matches that go well, and then you come across a team that destroys you and you say, can't win them all, chug down a Mountain Dew, and you jump around. You get a mixture of experiences. Here in this game though, fuck you. When Ranked comes out, there is literally no point in playing quick play. There's no reward for doing so. Let's talk about the UI. I don't understand how both DICE and Infinity Ward shit the bed on their UI and their UX so badly. I don't even want to talk about who designed it, but who in their right mind at the studio went through these menus and said, yeah, this is the shit right here. I'm convinced you have not even touched the game at this point. Ground War this time around is actually a lot more enjoyable. It doesn't feel like I'm getting my shit pushed in as much from vehicles, but that's primarily due to my new main squeeze, the Big Daddy Drill Charge, being able to disrupt tank gameplay. I'm actually having a lot of fun in Ground War, a little less in Invasion because, well, Infinity Ward, they made a large-scale TDM against bots and didn't implement squad spawning, a feature that Ground War has on the same scale of maps. Just move it over to this mode, Infinity Ward. What the fuck are you guys doing? Did you even play Invasion with like a friend? Did you test it at all? And can we talk about how much of a fail this live service game is at launch? We're missing core Call of Duty staples, barracks, stat tracking, hardcore, gunfight, which was a mode that was advertised to be there, and it's not. Some maps are now being pulled because they're risking lawsuits because Activision didn't want to spend the money on licensing real-world locations. That same Activision that has sold over $1 billion in 10 days on this game alone. Live service does not, or at least it should not mean early access, because that's what this game is right now. It's an early access title. It should not mean give them half a game up front and drip feed the rest later, and it should not mean release the game on the 28th and bring some of these features out 2 weeks later at the start of Season 1. Why not just wait until the 16th to release everything? This release schedule makes no sense. See, I remember when I logged into SOCOM 2 for the first time like 19 years ago, and we had over 20 maps to choose from. Now we have, what, 10 total? From a $1 billion plus studio who had 3 years to develop this game. On top of all of the missing content, the game is now $10 more. And we talked about this earlier this year. For me, I actually don't mind the $10 increase in games for the amount of time that I do spend playing them and for the job that I do. It's easily justified. For a $1 billion plus studio who cuts content at launch, has a broken UI and menu navigation system, removing maps from an already small pool of content, and who fucks up audio on footsteps and explosions and mixing in general, it is not justified at all. This year's Call of Duty is really, really fun. The game itself, when you spawn into a match, you start running around, you start shooting, killing people, reloading, and it's the most fun I've had in COD in years. And I think I'm more addicted to this gameplay loop here than I was in 2019, which is actually surprising. But it's these smaller issues all around that gameplay loop that add up to make it a lesser experience. The reason this game is being played by everyone and the reason why they've sold over $1 billion in 10 days is because there's nothing else to play. Halo has destroyed their player base with stupid decisions. Battlefield has done the same, and I actually even see Call of Duty making some of the same decisions that these companies have made. When you're talking about large AAA FPS franchises, Modern Warfare 2 was the only real way forward. Everything else sucks. Modern Warfare 2 has a long way to go before it becomes the best Call of Duty experience of all time. And with Warzone 2 dropping next week and our first look at DMZ happening tomorrow, there's a lot in store for the future of this title, and I'm still going to be following along and looking at the updates. It's not the most polished, and hell, it has a lot of bullshit surrounding the game that is just so easy to complain about because it's the simplest of changes that Infinity Ward had to make. How do you fuck up a UI that bad? It's clear as day that it's fucked up, but they shipped it anyway. It's clear as day that you guys didn't have the right licensing to put some of these maps in the game, but you shipped it anyway. You took our money and you shipped it anyway. It's clear as day that gamers want to look at their stats. They want to know how well they're competing, especially with how fucking brutal the skill-based matchmaking is. How do you even know how good you are? It's clear as day that these features were cut. Whether or not they're going to be coming in later or not, they were cut for a reason. But god damn, is it fun to play. And even with all of these issues piling up, I'm so conflicted because I enjoy the game. Every year Call of Duty comes out, and whether it's a good game or a bad game, the community is always split. I will say the last couple of years with Vanguard and Cold War, I think it was pretty much a unanimous call that both of those games were clearly worse than Modern Warfare 2019. But what happens every year is Call of Duty comes out, the community shits on it, the next one comes out a year later, and then people look back at the game from previous years and they say that they wish they could go back to those, and it's happening now. I'm seeing people say they wish they could go back to Black Ops Cold War, and when it came out, that game was one of the worst Call of Duties that we had seen in years. And so I don't know if that's what's happening here, but from what I am seeing, the player base is still holding strong and people are actually playing the game even through all of the bullshit, even through all of the complaints, even through all of these YouTubers that are here shitting on the game every single day in videos. The player base is remaining strong, which is a stark contrast to games like Battlefield 2042. When people talk shit about that game, they stopped playing it. It's not happening here yet, and I know it's still early days and it might happen still. But regardless of all of the bullshit that we talk about, there is still a fun game under the hood here. Modern Warfare 2 is not perfect by any stretch, nor is it the best Call of Duty of all time. That topic at this point is so subjective. But I am having fun, but I do feel like this live service mentality that we have seen over the past few years, and I've been talking about it for years, man, it is hurting the overall experience that we get with these titles, but there's no end in sight, guys. They sold $1 billion in 10 days. How do you sit there and tell them they're fucking up when that is the only metric that these studios care about nowadays is the dollar signs? At the end of the day, I'm still enjoying the game. I'm hoping I don't get burned out on all of these maps, and if they start pulling out more without bringing others in, it might get a little tough. But I do know that DMZ is being shown off tomorrow at a streaming event, and I am very excited to see what they do with DMZ and Warzone 2. As always, guys, my name is BigFry. Let me know what you guys think down below. Are you still playing Modern Warfare? I've gotten some feedback from some of you guys that you don't like Modern Warfare. You don't watch my videos on Modern Warfare. At the end of the day, guys, there is not a lot to talk about in the FPS space. I know some of you guys don't like me talking about Call of Duty and putting videos out on Call of Duty. I finally found a game that I'm actually enjoying, albeit there is a lot of bullshit around it, but I'm going to talk about it. As always, guys, my name is BigFry. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.